Welcome to the Noonhour. I'm glad you're here. To introduce myself, my name is A. Catherine Noon, and I go by Noonie. I enjoy writing and telling stories, giving speeches and teaching, and talking with others about my interests. I thought I'd explore some of these in a series of podcasts. This first one focuses on statesman and essayist Sir Francis Bacon, who lived in the time of Queen Elizabeth I of England. His essays are as relevant today as when he first wrote them, and I thought I'd share them over the next couple podcasts. So grab some coffee or tea, sit back, and relax with me, Noonie. This is the Noon Hour. These essays are from Essays, Civil and Moral, by Francis Bacon, as part of the Harvard Classics, edited by Charles W. Eliot, LLD, published by P.F. Collier & Son Company, New York, 1909. Francis Bacon, son of Sir Nicholas Bacon, Lord Keeper of the Great Seal to Queen Elizabeth, was born in London on January 22, 1561. He entered Trinity College, Cambridge, at the age of 12, and in 1576 he interrupted the law studies he had begun in that year to go to France in the train of the English ambassador, Sir Amias Paulet. He was called home in 1579 by the death of his father, and having been left with but a small income, he resumed the study of law and became a barrister in 1582. 2 years later, he entered the House of Commons and began to take an act. From an early age, Bacon had been interested in science, and it was in the pursuit of scientific truth that his heart lay. He conceived, however, that for the achievement of the great results at which he aimed, money and prestige were necessary, and he worked hard for both. He was a candidate for several offices of state during Elizabeth's reign, but gained no substantial promotion and was often in hard straits for money. He received aid from influential patrons, notably the Earl of Essex, and his desertion of this nobleman, with the part he took in his prosecution for treason, is regarded as one of the chief blots on his personal record. Shortly after the accession of James I, Bacon was knighted. In 1606, he married the daughter of an alderman, and in the following year he received the appointment of Solicitor General, the first important step in the career which culminated in the Lord Chancellorship in 1618. In the latter year, he was raised to the peerage as Baron Verulam, and in 1621 he became the Viscount St. Albans. He was now at the summit of his public career, but within 4 months the crash came, and he was convicted of bribery and sentenced by the House of Lords to the loss of all his offices, to imprisonment, and to the payment of a large fine. He died in retirement on April 9th, 1626, leaving no children. Bacon's own experiments are of slight scientific value, nor was he very familiar with some of the most important discoveries of his own day, but the fundamental principles laid down by him form the foundation of modern scientific method. His most popular work is his Essays, published in 3 editions in his lifetime, the first containing 10 in 1597, the second, with 38, in 1612, and the third, as here recited, in 1625. These richly condensed utterances on men and affairs show the field of conduct something of the same stress on the useful and the expedient as appears in his scientific work. But it is unjust to regard the essays as representing Bacon's ideal of conduct. They are rather a collection of shrewd observations as to how men do get on in life, human nature not as it ought to be, but as it is. Sometimes, but by no means always, they consider certain kinds of behavior from a moral standpoint. Oftener, they are frankly pieces of worldly wisdom. Again, they show Bacon's ideas of state policy. Still again, as in the essay Of Gardens, they show us his private enthusiasms. They cover an immense variety of topics. They are written in a clear, concise, at times almost epigrammatic style. They are packed with matter, and now, as when he wrote them, they, to use his own words of them, come home to men's business and bosoms. Number 1, of truth. What is truth? Said jesting Pilate, and would not stay for an answer. Certainly, there be that delight in giddiness, and count it a bondage to fix a belief, affecting free will in thinking as well as in acting. And though the sects of philosophers of that kind be gone, yet there remain certain discoursing wits which are of the same veins, though there be not so much blood in them as was in those of the ancients. But it is not only the difficulty and labor which men take in finding out of truth, nor again, when it is found, it imposeth upon men's thoughts, that doth bring lies in favor, but a natural though corrupt love of the lie itself. One of the later school of the Grecians examined the matter, and is at a stand to think what should be in it, that men should love lies, where neither they make for pleasure, as with poets, nor for advantage, as with the merchant, but for the lie's sake. But I cannot tell. This same truth is a naked and open daylight, that doth not show the masks and mummeries and triumphs of the world half so stately and daintily as candlelights. Truth may perhaps come to the price of a pearl, that showeth best by day, but it will not rise to the price of a diamond or carbuncle, that showeth best in varied lights. A mixture of a lie doth ever add pleasure. Doth any man doubt that if there were taken out of men's minds vain opinions, flattering hopes, false valuations, imaginations, as one would, and the like, but it would leave the minds of a number of men, poor shrunken things, full of melancholy and indisposition, and unpleasing to themselves? One of the fathers in great severity called poesy vinum daemonum, devil's wine, because it filleth the imagination, and yet it is but with the shadow of a lie. But it is not the lie that passeth through the mind, but the lie that sinketh in and settleth in it, that doth the hurt, such as we spake of before. But howsoever these things are in thus men's depraved judgments and affections, yet truth, which only doth judge itself, teacheth that the inquiry of truth, which is the love-making or wooing of it, the knowledge of truth, which is the presence of it, and the belief of truth, which is in the enjoying of it, is the sovereign good of human nature. The first creature of God in the works of the days was the light of the sense. The last was the light of reason, and his Sabbath work ever since is the illumination of his spirit. First he breathed light upon the face of the matter or chaos, then he breathed light into the face of man, and still he breatheth and inspireth light into the face of his chosen. The poet that beautified the sect that was otherwise inferior to the rest saith excellently well, "It is a pleasure to stand upon the shore and to see ships tossed upon the sea, a pleasure to stand in the window of a castle and to see a battle and the adventures thereof below. But no pleasure is comparable to the standing upon a vantage ground of truth, a hill not to be commanded, and where the air is always clear and serene, and to see the errors and wanderings and mists and tempests in the vale below, so always that this prospect be with pity and not with swelling or pride. Certainly it is heaven upon earth to have a man's mind move in charity, rest in providence, and turn upon the poles of truth." To pass from theological and philosophical truth to the truth of civil business, it will be acknowledged even by those that practice it not, that clear and round dealing is the honor of man's nature, and that mixture of falsehood is like alloy in coin of gold or silver, which may make the metal work better, but embaseth it. For these winding and crooked courses are the goings of the serpent, which goeth basely upon the belly and not upon the feet. There is no vice that doth so cover a man with shame as to be found false and perfidious. And therefore Montaigne saith it prettily when he inquired the reason why the word of the lie should be such a disgrace and such an odious charge. Saith he, "If it be well weighed, to say that a man lieth is as much to say as that he is brave toward God and a coward towards men. For a lie faces God and shrinks from man. Surely the wickedness of falsehood and the breach of faith cannot possibly be so highly expressed as in that it shall be the last peal to call the judgments of God upon the generations of men, it being foretold that when Christ cometh, he shall not find faith upon the earth. That ends this first podcast of the Noonhour. For more information, please visit me on the web at acatherinenoon.com and stay tuned for the next Noonhour.